let's talk about function composition. Function composition refers to taking two functions and putting them together. And I want to do a couple examples where we just put some numbers in and talk about notation, and then we'll talk about how we could actually put the two functions together to make a new function. But let's begin with this. We're going to write f of g of 3. Okay? Now here's what that means. And the parenthesis order, of course, is important. We're going to start with the inside, and we're going to evaluate g of 3. So we're going to come up here, and we're going to plug 3 in for x. So when we do that, just thinking about g of 3, we get 3 squared minus 4 times 3. Well, that is negative 3. Negative 3 is going to become our input in place of this. So my function, my f of g of 3, is going to become f of negative 3, because that was my answer when I plugged 3 into g. So, of course, now we just say, well, 4, go to f, 4 times negative 3 plus 2 is negative 10. And that's it. That's all we have to do. We just simply start on the inside, plug the number in, get an answer, plug that number into the outside function. Let's do another. Let's say we wanted to do g of f of 6. So again, we're going to start on the inside. Start with f of 6. Well, f of 6 becomes 4 times 6 plus 2. Well, that's 26. So that will then become, that'll go in place of my f of 6. So this will be g of 26, which, of course, looking at g, we'll have 26 squared minus 4 times 26, which is 572. Okay, let's do a little more work, and I'm going to change the functions. So I've changed f to be negative 2 times x plus 4, and g to be x to the third plus 1. So let's say we wanted to do f of g of 1. Now I want to introduce a little bit different notation here that you'll sometimes see, and that is f compose, little open circle, with g of 1. Now this notation's a little bit confusing at first until you kind of think of it as going the same way. This is saying f composed of g of 1. It's saying, okay, start by plugging 1 into g and then plug that into f. It's almost working backwards, just like we did here. It's saying f composed with g, meaning you do g first and then put that answer into f. So these two statements say exactly the same thing. Okay, so let's do that. Let's plug 1 into g. Okay, so we'll start with just that inside part. We get 1 cubed plus 1. Well, that's just 2. And then we'll plug 2 in to f. Negative 2 times 2 plus 4 is 0. Let's do g composed with f of 3. So now again, we start by plugging 3 into f. Negative 2 times 3 plus 4 is negative 2. We're going to plug that answer into g, since that's the outside kind of function. Negative 2 cubed is negative 8 plus 1 is negative 7. Okay. So that is a little bit different notation you might see, but works exactly the same way. Finally, let's talk about if you did a general formula rather than a number. And what I mean by that is, let's say we did f composed with g, and instead of a number just wrote x. Well, this means we are going to take our g, our function, and plug that into f. So we are going to take our entire function, x cubed plus 1, and plug that in for x, for our variable in f. So this would be equal to -2 times g. If you want to think about it that way, you could say it's times my function g plus 4. And then we could actually plug g in, -2 times x cubed plus 1 plus 4. Now, oftentimes you'd maybe like to clean this up, maybe distribute, so you could get a nice function out of that and say, well, this is it. If I actually compose the two, that's what I would get. Okay? Let's do the other way. Let's say it was g composed with f. And I should just add that this is f of g and that this is g of f. Okay? So now we're going to take the function f and plug that into g. So taking my function f, -2x plus 4, we're going to basically say, all right, we're plugging that into g. So we're going to have the function f cubed plus 1. Again, just taking my function f and plugging that whole thing in for x. Well, I'm going to write that down. That's -2x plus 4 cubed plus 1. That's a lot of work to cube that, so I'm just going to circle that and call it good. So this is function composition, just the putting together of two functions to make a new one, or doing one followed by the other. If this video helped, please like and subscribe for more math help.